Under the blazing sun, the boomtown of Goldridge buzzed with excitement and noise. Dust hung in the air like shimmering gold as the midday heat wrapped around everything in a warm embrace. Children darted around, their laughter rising above the clanging sounds of pickaxes and the busy chatter of miners who sought their fortunes. It was a world full of adventure and possibility, where dreams sparkled as brightly as the gold lying beneath their feet. The wooden buildings creaked lightly in the heat, casting long shadows that invited the children to escape the sun's rays. As they ran, the dry ground kicked up clouds of golden dust that danced in the air like tiny stars. With bare feet and wide smiles, these young adventurers transformed their surroundings into a magical playground. Every grain of gold dust was a treasure waiting to be discovered. In this lively atmosphere, the children dreamed big. They imagined themselves as brave explorers or powerful kings and queens ruling over vast empires made of sand. Their voices echoed as they declared themselves champions of their wild kingdom, adding layers to their imaginary world. Using small sticks and rocks, they constructed towering castles that fairy tale characters might envy. Each castle sparkled with reflected sunlight, appearing almost alive under the sweltering noon. This enchanting scene was not just about play. It was the beginning of their stories, a mix of bravery and audacity. In that moment, as they stood proudly beside their creations, anything seemed possible. The children were unknowingly weaving tales of joy that would make the harsh realities of their world fade into the background, at least for now. As the children continued to play, their imaginations soared higher than the midday sun. Each handful of sand mixed with glimmering gold dust became a building block for their grand castles. They worked together, sharing ideas and laughter, as they sculpted towering spires and wide moats around their sandy kingdoms. With every new creation, they felt more like the heroes of their own epic tales. "Let's make it taller!" shouted young Clara, her eyes sparkling with excitement. With determination, she climbed to the top of a nearby rock, waving her arms as if she were a queen addressing her subjects. The others cheered, rallying around her as they built higher and higher. They envisioned themselves defending their castles from imaginary invaders or embarking on daring quests to rescue lost treasures. In their minds, these castles were not just piles of sand. They were magnificent fortresses filled with enchanted creatures and secret passages. The children imagined knights in shining armor riding in on horseback, ready to join them in battle against dragons that lurked just beyond their vibrant realm. Every twist of their stories added depth to their dreams, turning simple play into thrilling adventures. As they crafted intricate details, a shimmering drawbridge made of twigs or a sparkling flag flying high at the top of a turret, these young architects poured their hopes and dreams into every creation. In this world of imagination, the children learned that they had the power to shape not only their castles but also their destinies. With every grain of sand they piled high, they felt an exhilarating sense of freedom, united by their boundless creativity and the magic of childhood dreams. As the sun continued to blaze above Goldridge, the children's joyous laughter started to intertwine with a new undertone in their games. While their castles were symbols of creativity and adventure, they carried deeper meanings that pressed upon their young minds. With a flick of their wrists, a grand tower could shift from a majestic fortress to a deadly weapon. A loaded pistol formed from the very sand they cherished. During their playtime, they began to incorporate more elements from the adult world around them. The games evolved into mock battles where the enchanting castles transformed into strongholds that required protection from imaginary foes or, worse yet, rugged bandits who sought to claim their treasures. Just as easily as they created glimmering towers, they could pretend to wield weapons, their innocent laughter mingling with everyday realities of danger. "Defend the castle!" shouted Clara, now embodying a fierce warrior protecting her realm. Her friends rallied behind her, gripping small sticks that served as makeshift swords. With each shout of excitement came an echo of understanding. These castles, while crafted from imagination, reminded them of real conflicts that filled the lives of the adults in Goldridge. The exciting tales they spun also brushed against the harsh truth lurking just outside their playground. This duality added a thrilling yet somber edge to their adventures. In moments of bravery and fun, the children unknowingly navigated the thin line between play and the complexities of life in a boomtown. Their lethal castles reflected the balance of joy and danger in their world, articulating how fast dreams could turn into something more serious as they ventured further into their imaginative realms. As the children continued their adventures in Goldridge, the influence of the adult world seeped into their play, shaping their imaginations in surprising ways. The clanging of pickaxes and the shouts of miners echoed in the background, reminding them that treasure was dug from deep within the earth, often with great struggle. Their mock battles now included not just dragons and bandits, but rival miners and greedy prospectors vying for gold. This understanding colored their games with a sense of urgency and competition, mirroring the ambitions they observed in their parents. "Let's build a wall to protect our treasures," shouted Ben, inspired by tales he'd heard from the grown-ups about defending claims on gold mines. His friends eagerly agreed, gathering more sand and sticks to fortify their castles. In this way, adult conflicts transformed into children's challenges, where they sought to safeguard their precious worlds from imaginary invaders. The children's creations took on new forms as well. Towers became lookout posts for spotting rivals from afar, while moats turned into barriers against those who would steal away their treasures. Each laugh now held a hint of seriousness as they played at being settlers in a land where fortunes could change with a single strike of a pickaxe. Without realizing it, these young dreamers were imitating not only the fun aspects but also the hardships faced by adults working tirelessly for wealth and survival. Their games became reflections of a broader reality where dreams collided with ambition and danger. The very castles they built symbolized both hope and risk, showing how closely intertwined their innocent play was with the gritty life surrounding them in Goldridge. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, its relentless heat began to take a toll on the children's golden creations. What once stood proudly as magnificent castles began to droop and sag, the gleaming gold dust mixing with sand and losing its shimmer. The magical playground they had built was now at the mercy of the scorching noon, and as sweat dripped from their brows, the reality of their fragile dreams became apparent. "Look, it's melting," Clara exclaimed, her voice tinged with disappointment. The children gathered around, watching helplessly as their hard work transformed into little more than puddles of sand and dust. The excitement that had filled their hearts dwindled as they realized that even the tallest towers could not withstand the heat of the day. Each melting castle served as a reminder that their dreams, like the sand sculptures, could slip away under pressure. For a moment, silence replaced their laughter as they contemplated how quickly joy could fade. These castles had been more than just structures. They represented aspirations of grandeur and adventure. Now, as they watched their hopes dissolve, the children began to understand that life in Goldridge was often similar, filled with dreams that could vanish just as swiftly as their creations. Yet within this moment of sadness lay a lesson. They learned that while dreams may fade under harsh conditions, resilience could lead to new beginnings. As they looked around at the remnants of their castles, a spark ignited once more. With determination in their eyes, they resolved to rebuild and create anew, understanding that even when dreams melt away, hope could always rise again from the sands of experience. After the castles had melted away, the children found themselves sitting quietly on the warm, golden sand, their laughter replaced by thoughtful silence. Clara looked around at the remnants of their vibrant fortresses, and a wave of realization washed over her. "What do our castles really mean to us?" she asked, her voice scarcely above a whisper. Ben picked up a handful of sand, letting it sift through his fingers. "They were our adventures," he said slowly, "but now they're gone." The weight of his words hung in the air. The other children nodded, reflecting on how their games had been more than just play. They had been a way to escape and express their feelings about living in Goldridge, a place filled with both excitement and uncertainty. As they sat in contemplation, they began to understand that these castles had helped them cope with the challenges around them. They had crafted dreams and stories that allowed them to feel powerful in a world that often felt wild and unpredictable. With every adventure imagined, they were trying to grasp control over their lives, even if just for a moment. "Maybe building them again is important, too," Clara suggested, sparking a flicker of hope in the group. It's like we can keep dreaming, even when things get hard. The realization transformed their sense of loss into newfound purpose. They learned that while play could sometimes be fragile, it also provided strength and resilience. With renewed energy, the children stood up, brushing off the sand from their knees. Together, they began to gather what remained of their melted creations, determined to build something new. A reminder not only of their playful spirits, but also of their growing understanding of life in Goldridge. With newfound determination, the children began to gather sand and sticks, ready to reconstruct their castles. As they worked together, a sense of camaraderie filled the air, reinforcing the bonds of friendship that had formed through their shared adventures. Clara, Ben, and their friends communicated effortlessly, directing one another with enthusiasm as they built higher and stronger structures. "Great job! Now let's make a wall to protect our treasure," Clara suggested excitedly. The team sprang into action, each child taking on a role that suited their strengths. While one group crafted the walls, others collected golden dust for decoration or fashioned lookout posts from twigs. They laughed and cheered each other on, feeling like true allies in a noble quest. The dynamics of teamwork became clear as they defended their castles against imaginary threats. "Here comes the rival miner," shouted Ben playfully, pretending to storm into their fortress. Instantly, the children united as defenders, raising imaginary swords and shields made from sticks and laughter. They pretended to fend off attacks together, weaving an intricate web of stories about bravery and heroism. In those moments of play, the children discovered that friendship was as strong as the castles they built. Each laugh shared and every challenge met reinforced their connection. Together, they learned to trust each other not only in games, but also in life's uncertainties. As the sun dipped lower in the sky and shadows grew longer, they stepped back to admire their fortifications, symbols not just of creativity but of unity. In that warm glow of friendship forged by teamwork, they realized that together they could face anything that came their way in both play and reality. Their bond made them stronger than any castle ever could be. As the sun began to set, casting a warm golden hue over Goldridge, the children stood proudly before their newly built castles. They admired their hard work, still buzzing from the energy of their teamwork and camaraderie. However, amidst their celebration, a moment of silence filled the air as Clara spoke up, reflecting deeply on their day. "We had so much fun today," she said thoughtfully, "but we also have to remember that growing up means facing real challenges." The others listened intently as Clara continued. "Building these castles is amazing, but one day, we'll have to build our futures too." Her words resonated with them, and they all felt the weight of responsibility creeping in. They realized that while they could dream big in their games and create mighty kingdoms of sand, there would come a time when they would need to face the realities of life outside their enchanting playground. Ben nodded slowly, understanding dawned in his eyes. "Yeah," he added softly, "when we grow up, things might not always feel safe or fun." The group collectively acknowledged that life in Goldridge was filled with both adventure and uncertainty, much like their imaginative play. With this newfound understanding came a mix of determination and maturity. They recognized that while dreams were essential for happiness and creativity, they also needed to prepare for what lay ahead. "Let's not forget," Clara encouraged her friends with a gentle smile, "that we can still support each other through everything." The children realized that friendship would be one of the strongest tools they could wield as they faced the future together. In that powerful moment, they learned that growing older did not mean losing their sense of wonder. Instead, it would mean channeling that wonder into building lives full of courage and joy amid real-world challenges. As the last rays of sunlight disappeared over Goldridge, the children gathered together one final time, their hearts full of lessons learned throughout the day. They looked at their new castles, though humble and small compared to the grand dreams they held. Each represented a step forward. The smiles on their faces glowed with hope, reminding them that every setback could lead to something beautiful if they dared to keep building. Clara addressed her friends with conviction. "We may face tough times as we grow up, but that doesn't mean we should stop dreaming. Let's promise to always support each other no matter what." The children nodded in agreement, feeling a surge of unity in their conviction. Together, they understood that strength lies not just in individual efforts but in the bonds formed through friendship. They realized that life would be filled with moments where dreams might fade, much like their earlier castles struggling against the scorching sun. However, it was how they responded to those challenges that truly mattered. By coming together and facing adversity head-on, they could rebuild their dreams, each new creation stronger than before. As dusk settled and stars began to twinkle above Goldridge, the children felt a sense of peace wash over them. They carried within them the essence of adventure and resilience, knowing that with imagination and teamwork, they could conquer any obstacle life threw their way. In our hearts, Ben added thoughtfully, there's always room for new dreams. With that inspiring thought lingering in the air, they agreed to keep chasing those dreams together. Each child left their sandy playground that evening filled with aspirations for tomorrow, ready to transform future challenges into opportunities for growth and discovery. Their journey was just beginning, buoyed by hope and the unbreakable ties of friendship.